So now the hawks come flying in, and they're as the hawks are flying in, Lee starts wondering to himself because he just saw the jaguars separate, and the jaguar, Raed says, I got the psychic connection with Ja, and Ja and Raed have this ability to merge as this rainbow jaguar, and then separate, have this psychic connection. So Lee starts thinking to himself, he's like, I just got doppelganged. I don't know how these jaguars, have twins of themselves with these psychic connections, but they obviously have a bigger ship, than the humans do, that had crashed earlier, or crashed. It's toppling down, falling from the sky and landing. But this, so Lee is thinking to himself, gee, what if I've got a psychic connection now with, the Lee too, and he calls himself Eel. So when they had Lee ends up getting doppelgangered by the three Northerners, and he realizes he's going north. I wonder if I'm being, I wonder if there's a reason that nobody's aware of here, but that maybe Eel is drawing me up north. And so he's kind of thinking this, and then the two hawks come in. And the two hawks come in, swoop down, and Rod says, what's up? What's going on? Did you? And they said, yep, we got him. He's up. He's playing with an ant colony, or she. Sorry, Unisari is a she. Unisari is an old, one of the ancient legendary creatures of the plateau region that the jaguars have been working with for a very long time, for millennia now. And this ancient creature, it's this one-horned creature with this shield of bone, that structure that protects its neck, that the humans had found back in the swamp with the gator people. They thought they kind of rescued this from this little arena of sport that the gators were kind of had on the and the people actually learned that it was a sport, that this was every other day. This was sort of like the ritual wrestling match that Unisari does every other day before they go out to the it's part of how the deer's story of the forest has been conditioned to the creatures of the land. It's sort of their cycle, is that every 2 days they have this sort of arena where one of the jaguars does this thing and that's to get the awareness current there with the forest for the wolves to communicate then with the to try draw in and surround, and then get the hawks to rescue the first ram, the original ram in the first story, because it's dressed like a deer. Remember, it's got the tree branches that it had knocked down after being told by the old man in the cave that hey, this deer's going to lead you home. And then, of course, the ram realizes along the way that there are no deer, and that the ram is the sport, right? The ram is the deer, the sport of dressing like a deer, going through the forest, and, encountering all of the various creatures, including the aquarium on top of the plateau and everything. So now the hawks come in and start telling them, hey, Unisari is up there playing with this ant colony, ran into the desert because figured it was a new day, try something new, might as well go north, right? There's 3 ram down there. So Unisari is just on its northern journey. Up it's going for God knows why. And so the jaguar is like, okay, well, I guess that's the track we're on. We're going to have to go talk to the ant people, see what they say. Because, of course, the ant people, they're the ones that eat those little microbial life down on the forest floor. And then they, like the wolves, they scratch on the sticks. And then that's how the bats pick up that signal, is that they hear the little background ambient sounds of the forest, like the ants moving around and scratching on the sticks. And there's a code in those sticks that the bats know, and the bats are able to talk to the jaguar people about what the ants are saying. And so the hawks say, and the jaguar's like, well, what's up with the bats? Are we going to be able to, figure out what's going on when we get there? And the hawks said, yep, bats are got an eye on the whole thing. They'll be ready to do the communication when you get there. Okay, so Rad is Jaguar Lady. She's carrying. She's so the leader of the party. She's the one who knows what's going on. And now the 2 little baby rams, they're tired. They just woke up from their nap, and they're getting carried on Rad's back, and Rad's carrying them along. And the hawks are saying, why are these rams not dressed like deer right now? What are we not telling the story of the deer here in the forest? And Rod says, I just got word from Ja. Ja, remember, came back down to the plateau. Ja's back there with the jaguars now. Okay, so Ja's saying, we've got one deer going through the forest the way we do every other day right now, because the wolves took care of the situation, with the other ram. And the other ram and the two rams are like, what? Our friend got away, Okay, so the rams kind of introduced themselves. Now, remember, they don't say much. The only conversations we've had with the rams so far have been with the old man back at the cave. And so the rams speak up for themselves, and they say, "Oh, Luna, our friend Luna, what happened to her?" And they said, "Yeah, this is the first time that it was a female ram that went through this process, because it's always been a male ram. This time, the Goat King came through with a better deal, right? Rather than just one ram." And by the way, we're learning from the jaguars now what's going on with these rams and why they're doing this. So, and we kind of learned about a little bit about this from the Goat King, the Sea Goat King, remember? So the reason that this is happening is that the bulls get frightened for their mates when they see rams, and the rams just want to ram things and play with whatever's around. They'll hit trees, they'll frolic with the crabs, when they're on a good day, when they're eating their big red cap, which they get from various ungulate droppings and whatnot. That could be deer droppings, could be bull droppings, primarily bull droppings because there's no deer in the forest. So we're finding out a little bit more about why things are going on now. Jaguar is telling the story as they go through the desert to get to this oasis, And by the way, Jaguar says, how far is the oasis? Is it a saltwater oasis? Yeah, she's like, oh, no, you don't have to go all the way up to the saltwater oasis. And the saltwater oasis, remember, up there by the channels at the northern edge of the desert. So, no, it's pretty central of the desert here. It's but it's the main mark point, and Rod knows the main mark point, and so that's where they're going, main mark point, and Riot is telling the humans who are walking along carrying their water, and it is saying, the reason that you're getting a ram on your shore every other day is because the Sea Goat King is upset with the bulls, and is upset with the bulls for having this, for being afraid of everything. Right? There aren't even any scorpions near the plateau anymore, and still the bulls are being herded by you guys. And humans are like, yeah, we're just happy to herd them. We didn't know that they were, you guys wanted more bulls over there. They just hang out here. They're like, and Jaguar's like, yeah, I know. They're not the smartest. They're really fearful creatures and defensive creatures, and they really want to, mate and reproduce and run all over the place, but they don't like rams. They really don't like the rams because they're afraid that they're trying to mate with them. And so the rams and the two rams are like, what? We didn't get that in sex ed, because these are young rams, they're baby rams, but they've been educated a little bit about ram culture in their little isolated environment underneath the earth. And they've been warned, not to attack bulls, but they're told never to go near bulls, but they know they have this lottery down there. And so the rams are starting to remember where they came from and what's going on now. But remember, they're confused from the beginning because this is the first time they've even seen sunlight. And so they're getting this integration now happening between what they've been told their whole lives and the fact that they found themselves waking up in this brand new environment. And so the Jaguar is saying, look, the reason you're getting a baby ram is because that way the bulls aren't going to be afraid that they're going to mate with them. The ram can get to the surface. The ram is conditioned to have an idea of a bull, and then it just naturally follows the bull funk. And then, maybe once in a while it gets in a scuffle with the ram, but mainly what it does, it ends up eating that big red mushroom that grows out of the bull's stuff, and then does its dance with the crabs, and the lion chases them off. And that's sort of the routine of the forest every day that the humans have been wondering about. So now they're getting filled in, and they're like, this is why this whole thing is happening this whole time, is both to get the opportunity to get a mock deer go through the forest to try to attract deer, to remember the story of the deer that were once here. And really nobody knows all the details of the story, but everyone knows little parts of it, and they all sort of tell their part throughout it. But it's also because they're trying to get a new sense of integration between the rams and the bulls. And so the Goat King has this deal with the jaguar that's both for getting the deer. And the jaguar starts saying, okay, so the reason that we're here is because deer are creatures of the sky. They fly and like we do, except for they have the ability to fly without a craft. And some of the original deer who came here were these space deer, these flying deer that made it here. And we were coming to have a rendezvous with the deer people, and we were going to come and have this new connection with the deer people from other realms, other planets even. And I'll figure out that part here in a little bit.